Now that the Miami Hurricanes have some momentum in the transfer portal, we'll see if we can keep it rolling through the weekend because we have an important defensive tackle visiting the U.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much to the everydayers who make Locked On Canes your first listen each and every day. We're here at least 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. We had the Jaden Davis Welcome to the U episode last night. And the Hurricanes do, as I mentioned, they've got at least one important defensive tackle visitor coming this weekend. We've talked about this player on the show. We really like him here on Locked On Canes. Former first-team All-Conference USA, Louisiana Tech Bulldog grad transfer, Keivie Rose. So he brings that experience, and he brings some good characteristics as well. But, folks, it is a Truth Teller Tuesday today, so we are joined by the Truth Teller, Bruce Warner. Bruce, we got Jaden Davis last night. We got Keivie Rose from Louisiana Tech visiting this weekend. Everybody has been whining about the transfer portal the last couple of weeks. How come we're not getting anybody? Hopefully we can keep this hot set of dice rolling.
Well, let's call this show the Transfer Portal Tuesday.
Yeah.
Not the Truth Teller. Because every week I've been on the last few weeks, things haven't been happening like I've been saying. Although nothing in terms of what they need, that hasn't changed. The wide receiver, the defensive tackle.
Right.
There's talk about Henderson. I said he was coming. You said he was coming, but maybe not. There's two other guys out there that I know you like, and I like them as well. So maybe Mario's waiting to see. Maybe he's not so sold on Henderson because they got Davis, but they didn't get Henderson, at least not yet.
And they visited the same week, which was interesting.
Yeah. So, we'll see. But again, we're a work in progress. I think areas are improving. At least there's names out there. I don't know. I have to make some calls. I've been busy this week. I became grandpa number 4 on Saturday.
Congrats.
I have 4 granddaughters now.
Wow.
So no boys. And my son-in-law played for the Baltimore Orioles, and he can't get a boy either. So anyway, look, I just want to know if these people are coming. You've got this Louisiana Tech D tackle coming. Yeah. That's positive. I'm not sold on Malone. I just think that maybe he was not a starter, and I'm not too sure he's a priority. He went to Ohio State. He walked out of there without a deal. So we don't know about him yet. But, you've got other names that we could banter about. But I still think they're short on the D tackle, somebody who's really good, not just a body, and a wide receiver, the names you've been talking about that I think they need to have the safeties stay out of that box. They have to have somebody that could stretch that. I don't care if they catch 2 balls a game. They got to have somebody that keeps the safeties back. And you mentioned to me before we did this about the running backs being a weak position. And yeah, it's not weak. You have 5 great names.
Right.
But you've got a guy who's not playing this year, most likely in Citizen. That really hurts because he's multidimensional. Cheney could still get hurt at any minute, whether he's walking down the street or he's practicing. And the other 2 kids, Fletcher and Johnson, aren't here yet.
Yeah,
and so as good as we think Fletcher is going to be, he's going to have, 2 months to prepare and get ready and figure out what his role is and where he has to go and who he has to block. I would think that maybe somebody else could come in the portal. But they're not going to do that, I don't think, until they see what these 2 guys bring to the table when they actually show up. I think they're in, summer session A or B? Do you know?
Oh, I don't even know.
Probably
A. Probably A.
I think A, yeah.
Probably A.
So, look, that's where they're going to have to evaluate these kids, and quickly. But again, that's not official because they can't practice until August. Right. So they're going to have to watch these kids work out and see what kind of shape they're in and then go from there. Although I do know they both have playbooks and stuff like that. So they're working on their conditioning and they're working on – but again, it's not live. It's just looking at a playbook. But it helps. All right, so what do you want to talk about today, my friend?
Well, first, you brought up the name Xzavier Henderson. I just want to share the latest I was told about him. This information comes from a Florida insider, so it's where Hendo used to play. There seems to be in this person's mind kind of a growing belief that Cincinnati might actually be becoming the favorite for Xzavier Henderson. There's a big push on the Cincinnati side to try and reunite him with his former quarterback teammate, Emory Jones. I know that's part of the pitch that they're making there. And, just reading between the lines, because I'm not exactly sure what Cincinnati's wide receiver situation is, but it's possible he might see that as like a clearer path to be a starter, where in Miami, that wouldn't be guaranteed. He would have to compete. But let me say this, Bruce, I take all of this with a grain of salt, because with Xzavier Henderson, people are trying to read the clues and read the tea leaves. Everyone's kind of guessing with him, and they admit that. Like the people who source me information on him, nothing is set in stone. Nothing anybody tells me is like, yep, this is happening, that's happening. His family, I've been told throughout this process, they are very, very private, and they keep this stuff close to the vest. This is not like the type of entourage situation where they're leaking stuff to reporters left and right. They keep this stuff pretty close to the vest. But it was the same way you mentioned Tywone Malone visited Ohio State over the weekend and left there without making a commitment to them. The same way Xzavier Henderson left Miami last week without making a pledge to Miami. It makes a lot of folks, myself included, who kind of thought it was a slam dunk that he would come to the U. It makes us wonder, hey, maybe this guy isn't coming after all.
Well, if this is NIL stuff, then obviously there's got to be some leverage for him, and to play one off the other is in his best interest. Might not have been in his best interest to go to Miami, listen to what they said, what they offered, and say, okay, I'll take it. He's probably leveraging this. If he wants to play in the NFL, which is what I keep hearing over and over again, I wouldn't necessarily go to Cincinnati. They're not going to be that good.
Yeah.
Their coach left. So is he going to be on national TV? Probably not. But it's up to him. It's his call. So maybe it is the money. Yeah, I don't know what's been on the table for him. But I know that if Miami wants a blue chip receiver, there's him and there's the two other guys you mentioned I like a lot.
Yeah, Keon Coleman from Michigan State, who's, he was a starter at that big-time Big Ten program. And Zakhari Franklin, Conference USA All-American out of UTSA, who put up just stupid numbers the last 2 years at UTSA. Those are other options. But I think just what I worry about here, Bruce, worry a little bit. I don't want to freak anybody out, honestly. Like, I bet, because sometimes when I say I'm a little worried about something, people are like, Miami can't get anybody. But I do get a little bit frustrated with this wide receiver transfer portal stuff, because even going back to the winter transfer portal window, Miami swung and missed on a lot of the guys that they wanted.
The Bama kid and the USC kid, yeah. But you know what? In retrospect, those guys I thought were relatively small, not the big 6'2", 6'3" guys that we're talking about. And so that I think Mario's waiting to see if he can get one of these guys. But if he's going to be all in, they better be all in with the money as well. They can't afford to lose all three of these guys at this stage of the game. Now, the D tackles, I'm still not thrilled about who I hear out there. The kid that's coming in from Louisiana Tech. I don't know. What do you know about? I don't know that much about this kid.
Okay, well, let me take you to church then, here, Bruce, because I gotta tell you something here about Keivie Rose. I like this guy, and granted, he was facing Conference USA level competition, not ACC or Power 5 level competition, but first team All CUSA last year. He's got more of the prototypical size we look for in defensive tackles, 6'3", little over 305 pounds. He's started 32 games in his career, started every game last year for Louisiana Tech, had 24 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and that's rushing from the interior. And from what I've seen of the young man, he's not even that young. He's a graduate transfer. What I've seen from this grown man is he definitely has more of those traits as a run stuffer than some of the guys we've already brought in, the smaller guys from the transfer portal. So I like this guy a lot. I mean, does he necessarily go from first team All Conference USA to first team All ACC? I don't know, but I think that this is one of those group of 5 guys who's ready to make that jump.
So I agree with that. And if that's somebody that Mario and Alonzo and Jason want, if he's coming here, they better put the pen. I know they can't sign him, but he's got to commit to us. And that would be the end of the D tackle situation. Then just focus on whatever else we need, which is obviously a wide receiver. I still don't know where they stand with quarterback, and I don't know where they stand with running back, because we just talked about it, that they're depleted. They got one starter who's not old everything. They have a star in Cheney who's pretty good. He's like a 4-star, but he gets hurt all the time. You can't bank on him. And the other 2 kids that are coming in are true freshmen who's still not even on campus yet. Look at all they missed by not being here in the spring, So that's a very tenuous position right now. I think maybe they should try to get somebody.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the running back position group. And I want to talk about the defensive backs now. I think Jaden Davis is going to add a lot of quality depth to that position group, and he's versatile enough to play in a few different spots. And I think even though Miami just saw 2 guys get drafted from that defensive backfield, I don't necessarily think they're going to miss them a whole lot, and I mean that in a positive way. So we're only getting started here on a Truth Teller Tuesday on this new episode of Locked On Canes. Oh, I'm only getting started tonight, my friends, on FanDuel. I got Panthers game 1 tonight against Toronto. Heat game 2 tonight against the stinking New York Knicks. I'm going to be all over FanDuel Sportsbook tonight. It's going to be so great, guys, on FanDuel. And yeah, folks, with the NBA being back, you can make a fast break to FanDuel during these NBA playoffs. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So you have nothing to lose on that first bet. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you so much to the Everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. And by the way, for those who listen every day, you're in for another treat tomorrow because Malik Rozier, former Miami Hurricanes quarterback, is going to be joining us on our Wednesday episode. So how about that for back-to-backs? Truth Teller Tuesday, Malik Rozier Wednesday. It's always a good time here on Locked On Canes. And so, Bruce, I look at Miami's situation in the defensive secondary. Obviously, Cam Kinchins probably has arguably the most, outside of Tyler Van Dyke, probably the most secure starting job on the entire team, maybe even more secure because he's so good. First team All-American at safety. I expect James Williams to be the other starting safety, some decent depth. Markeith Williams is going to help provide some of that for Miami. Cornerbacks, it's been trending like Devontae Brown is going to start at one outside spot. Daryl Porter trending to start at another outside spot. DeCorey Couch has been trending to start at the star. I think he could face some serious competition from Jaden Davis coming in. And Jaden Davis is also versatile enough. He can play on the outside. He can do just about anything. And something I want to remind folks about Jaden Davis, the transfer from Oklahoma, we did do a full episode devoted to him last night if you guys want to watch it. Just because he's on the shorter side at 5'10", you might judge him in a certain way based on that size. He's an incredibly strong tackler. And he's built he's 5'10", but he's pushing 200 pounds. Very strong tackler. In fact, his tackling grades were significantly better than his coverage grades last year. That's a double-sided coin, of course, because on the one hand, hey, great tackler, not as good in coverage, but graded over 80, I think 80.5, according to Pro Football Focus on tackling. So Jaden Davis, if he doesn't end up starting, he's going to play a lot this year. And you've got the freshman coming in who I think can do some damage this year on a rotational basis with Robert Stafford and Damari Brown, the younger brother of Devontae. So, Bruce, I'm feeling pretty good about the defensive backfield.
Yeah, I am too. I'm just not looking at your screen because I'm texting. Mark Caesar texted me. He was supposed to be on last week.
Yeah.
So I just sent him your link. I forwarded it to Mark, so he may show up.
Oh, cool.
I don't think he'll be on the screen.
I'll pop him right in if he shows up.
Yeah, he wants to either watch or listen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he didn't feel well last week. He's on dialysis. He doesn't feel well. I think something happened to a friend of his, and he was just really upset.
Oh, that's rough.
Okay. Anyway, so I like the backfield now. I think they've done enough. I think the jury's still out on James Williams. I think you agree. There's nothing that you can hang your hat on that says this is what's going to happen this year. We don't know. We hope so. But that would be nice because then the secondary would be awesome. And then if we can get the run-stuffing D tackle, even though we're young at linebacker, I like Malagoa in the middle. I think the team has really gone from where they were last year to a whole nother destination. But I still think on offense we need that blue chip wide receiver. And then, as I said, you asked me months ago, I thought the offense has the sky is the limit. They could be really good. But they, I'm sitting here telling you that I think Fletcher is going to carry the ball 15 times a game. I believe it. I mean, I've seen the film. I've seen him. He's dynamic, and we haven't had a big back like that. I thought Citizen was going to be that guy, but he's hurt. So, but I'm all happy. Oh no, now my wife's calling me.
Bruce can't catch a break.
I'm doing the show. I'll call you back. She doesn't care. I told her I'm doing the show. She doesn't care. What is? She's calling me. My wife's calling me. Pretty soon, my dog's going to call me.
So we talk a little bit more about the running back room. To me, it might be the highest ceiling, lowest floor position group on the entire team, Bruce. You talked a little bit about some of the factors there. I don't want anyone to take Henry Parrish for granted, because I think Parrish can have a really, really nice year if the blocking is significantly better than it was last year, because Parrish was pretty good last year with no blocking, no holes whatsoever. And he was playing through some injuries late in the year, but he was more consistently on the field than anybody else was. I expect Parrish to be the starting back. Don Chaney, you mentioned, that's the type of guy who can, pull something just walking down the street. Unfortunately, he has that really, really rough injury history, but he was healthy through spring ball. He looked really good. And back to 2020, which was the only season as a true freshman when he was healthy the entire year. As a true freshman, he had 4.7 yards per carry, scored 3 touchdowns that year, showed a lot of promise. So that goes with the high ceiling. And then the guy you talked about, Mark Fletcher. My goodness, Bruce, I mean, if things go a certain way, he could end up being second or even first on the depth chart by the end of the season. I think he's that good. I think he's got that kind of potential.
Well, I think he's going to carry the ball, because if he's not ready to block early in the season, pick up blitzes and things like that, he's not going to be on the field. So when he's in the backfield, either he's a decoy with a fake handoff, or he's going to catch swing passes, or he's going to run the ball. And if you give that kid 15 carries, he's going to the house or close to the house at least once during the game. You've got to have him back there. They're not going to respect Parrish. I know you're right. He's a hard-nosed, tough little guy playing ball, but he's not taking it to the house on any possession unless something really bad happens. But, you have to have threats. You need the deep threat with the wide receiver. You need the running back threat so the play action works. And it all comes off what? The offensive line. And we still don't know who the left tackle is, although all signs are pointing to the fact that Zion will be back to at least be there in the fall, and let's see what he can do. I don't know what he thinks of his knee structure. I don't know if he's going to have problems mentally about getting hurt again. That's all part of the equation. The doctor can say, you're fine. He might not think so. So we'll learn all of that. And, the first game we should win, although they're not a bad team, Miami of Ohio. Yeah. They play much better competition. And then you got A&M. So we'll learn a lot about Miami early in the season. But I'm excited about it. I'm more excited now than I was about 2 months ago. But I still am not excited about what's happening in the portal. You got to trust Mario. You have to. I mean, I'm somewhat glad he didn't take the kid from Mississippi. He's not even a starter. I told you that.
They might still take him, though. They might, because I will say one thing that Tywone Malone, it's being reported, I mentioned, like, he came out of that weekend in Ohio State without committing there, which always means, hey, it looks like the recruitment is still open. And then it was reported by Gabby Arrudia from Inside the U that Malone is interested in seeing Miami before he makes a decision. And obviously, if you get him in the building, that gives Mario and Jason Taylor and Big Joe an opportunity to close. So it could still happen. And Bruce, just because he may not have been a consistent starter at Ole Miss in the SEC doesn't mean he can't necessarily be a starter or a heavy rotation guy here, because I think he's got the talent.
Well, it's good to have options. So if the Louisiana Tech kid comes in and he's out there, at least you've got options. You've got options with the size that we're looking for. Yeah. Okay. And again, he's not going to be Torque Cortez. He's not going to be Will Fork. He's not going to be Jerome. He's not going to be Sapp. It might not even be Mark, but I don't know. But I want a big body guy in there that could stuff the run. And because we do have pass rushers, and we'll have guys off the edge that could rush the passer, and Bain, don't forget. So I think our defense is going to be much improved, but I still want the D tackle.
When we come back, I've got a bit of a recruiting roundup for you guys. A couple of recruiting visits set in and a couple of prospects Miami needs to go after in the class of 2024. You want to keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. And again, for the everydayers, Malik Rozier, former Miami Hurricanes quarterback, is going to join us tomorrow to get his takeaways on spring football, his projections for the fall, and his outlook on the transfer portal, because Malik is really, really involved in keeping up with all that news, and he loves weighing in on the U. So this is pretty cool. Miami is going to be getting a June 16th official visit from Seattle, Washington area big-time defensive lineman. Bruce, we talk about these details. Oh, sorry, this is an offensive lineman. Excuse me. Big offensive lineman, and this guy is gigantic in the interior. 6'4", 310, Papa Afua from Seattle, Washington. It's crazy now how, like, back in the old days, Bruce, when you were talking about interior O linemen, you're like, oh, maybe 280, 290. Now a lot of these interior guys are 310, 325, and the outside guys are 335, 345 pounds. This young man is a 4-star. Hopefully Miami can get something good there. And a defensive tackle. This is the one I was about to go over before I realized I wanted to talk about the O-lineman first. Young man by the name of Alex January. He is locked in a June 3rd visit to Miami. He's a 3-star out of Duncanville, Texas, but 6'4", 325 defensive tackle. And Bruce, even though this guy is rated 3 stars right now, and I was watching some of his tape this morning, really impressive space eater on the inside. This is the kind of guy Miami needs in the class of 2024. Right. I'm wondering how this guy is only a 3-star. He's going to get a 4th star at some point, because look at the teams that have offered him and that he's going to be visiting in June. So Miami's going to get his first official visit June 3rd. He's also visiting and has offers from Texas, LSU, Florida State, and Oklahoma. That's not the type of offer list with all those schools, including Miami, that you usually say that's a 3-star. That sounds like a 4-star defensive tackle to me. So he's going to get that 4-star.
But there could be like 154-star D tackles in Texas. They're big out there.
That's a good
so
point.
You don't know. You don't know. They rate him and they rate him, and Texas has got a lot of big boys out there. So that could be. I don't know. Maybe he played 6 games this year. I don't know. If he played half the season, he's going to get 4 stars after this year coming up, probably, or more.
Yeah.
Hey, what about you said something about the D tackle. What's his name? Justin Scott?
Yeah, Justin Scott, the 5-star out of Chicago. And actually, Bruce, I'm so glad you brought him up, because Miami's coaches are actually visiting his high school this week, St. Ignatius in Chicago. Right. He's got a contingent of Miami coaches up there visiting him, watching him practice. He visited Miami a couple of weeks ago on the week of the spring game, multi-day visit. Right. And apparently the visit went so well, Steve Wiltfong crystal balled him to land at Miami. Oh, Justin Scott would be a huge get, Bruce, and Miami's trending in the right direction for him.
That would be great. That would be great. And the Texas kid, if we can do that. But Mario's got to keep pushing. And as far as this year is concerned, it's still a work in progress. Said that from the first day I was on this show, and a lot of people don't like that, but it's true. And if you're really a fair fan and you look at it, it's true. It really is. Because, again, I was at the practice. I've seen some of these things, and you know what they're working on. They're trying to change everything: the offense, the defense, the mindset, the mental preparation, things like that. It just doesn't happen overnight. But we all know that the words were called country club atmosphere. That's done. Forget that. That's gone. That's gone. That's why the players are gone. And even the ones that were there, it's either do what you're supposed to do or get the hell out. There's no nonsense down there. There is none. So now you just got to work these guys. And unfortunately, the offensive line was banged up, and we got to look at Zion. But I think if he comes back and we get nobody else through the portal, I still think we're going to be okay. I mean, if you're going to have a guy, like what's his name? My mind's drawing a blank.
Jalen Rivers.
No, the other, the Alcanola, on the bench. Yeah. That's strength if you could have him on the bench, because he's a 5-star. Yeah. So I think everything's going to be okay if Zion plays and he can actually play and do well. All bets are off on the offense. I still say between 35 and 40 points a game with no problem. They're going to be really tough, but they do need that wide receiver.
I love it. Hey, I want to encourage everyone, if you haven't seen it or heard it, check out our Welcome to the U episode for Jaden Davis that we put on last night. It came out after his commitments. It was kind of a weird time, 7:30. So if you missed it, make sure to check that out. And if you go back to Jaden's visit to Miami, he took an official visit the same week that Xzavier Henderson had an unofficial visit. If you see that photo that, when he was with his family and they're South Florida natives, he was with his family. He's a St. Thomas Aquinas kid with all the coaches in that decorated Miami tunnel and just the smiles on all the faces.
Mm-hmm.
Our pal Brad Tejeda is the one who said, if welcome home was a picture, that's the picture. Like, they look so happy. So after seeing that, it's not too surprising that Jaden Davis committed.
But I see some people panning it. They don't want him. He's not that good. He didn't do anything in Oklahoma. That's not true.
Just Miami fans for you, man.
It's craziness.
I love our fans, but when Miami gets a 3-star commitment, and this is just a loud minority of people who are just never satisfied. When Miami gets a 3-star commitment, they complain, why are we taking 3 stars? What is this? And when you get a transfer portal guy that for whatever reason you don't think is a blue chipper, what do we need this guy for? The negativity.
They've made mistakes in the portal. So I
have.
understand it, but you can't get everybody from Oklahoma is not going to be, Ricky Dixon or someone like that. You just can't do it. But you know what? The transfer portal has helped Miami. It probably helps everybody in a way. Unless you're Deion Sanders, they're losing 50 players.
Yeah.
50. I think this is a short-term job for him. I don't see him being there. I don't see the alumni even tolerating this.
It's tough. So far, when you talk to the Colorado people or the Coach Prime fans, are just like, nope, this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to kick everybody out and just bring in his own guys. We'll see, because when you quote unquote get rid of 50 guys in a matter of 2 weeks, that's a lot of holes to fill in a short period of time.
Yeah. So good luck to him, but I don't care. I'm just, the Canes. I'm happy about what Mario's doing. I'll have more info next week, because this week was big. I had a granddaughter. I have my puppy's coming. I'm having wisdom tooth pulled in about 2 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
My brain has been scrambled. But I'll have more stuff next week. And, I'm going to have a guest. I'm going to work on all that. I've just been really busy this week.
Good luck with the wisdom tooth. And I want to encourage everyone, if you want to sign up for our exclusive SMS texting platform on Subtext, you can click a link in the show description below. For example, you guys in the Subtext chat, you knew several hours before it happened that Miami was getting a certain transfer portal commit last night, and we update you guys on breaking recruiting news, scoops. I send you my opinions. You guys can chat with me one-on-one there anytime you want to. It's another way to support the show. You can try it for 2 weeks completely free. And then if you want to opt in after 14 days, it's $4.99 a month, but we try to give you plenty of added value there. You're definitely not, it's not a donation or anything like that. We give you plenty of added value on there. And to the truth teller, best of luck in your dental procedure this afternoon. Hope it goes well. We'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love this show, and you're the best, Alex. I know you say I am, but you are. I'll bow my head to you. You're the man.
You're definitely the best, but we can argue about that another time. We will talk to you guys again next time for the Everydayers. Malik Rozier is going to join us tomorrow on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.